My name is McDonagh and I'm a member of Mead Travellers Workshops. And we are running a prison links programme within the Wheatfield prison at the moment. But I'd like to just briefly bring it back to why we started to run this programme. I, like many other women, mothers and grandmothers and wives and daughters, have visited practically every waiting room in every prison, from the very northern part of our country to the very southern part, visited relatives in all of those prisons, whether they be as political prisoners or in any other type of prisoners. They were prisoners. And I think it's of vital importance for us here today, as that last young woman spoke, Bridget, and as we heard William Lawrence's story, to remember the human side and the holistic effect that the service has, that the people in prison have on their entire families. I've been in waiting rooms, in prison waiting rooms. I've been in visiting rooms. I've seen mothers come in. I've seen young women hand over brand new babies to men in behind the opposite side of the chairs and the opposite side of the desk for the first time. I've seen little children running in and out, saying they're going in to see their daddy and to see their mummies. I've been in the women prisons as well. And the effect it has had on me as a person has been horrific. I've had to drive many, many miles and many, many lonely days up and down to prisons with my daughter beside me, with my grandchildren beside me. And it has not been easy. It affected all of us. And it was through that, and I remember one day going to Loughlin House prison, and I was in the car park, and I was behind a family group that was going down in front of me, walking down. And one of the group was an elderly woman, an elderly travelling woman, and she was laden down with bags of whatever she was bringing in and out. She was bringing in loads of grub, but she was in front of me anyway. But we ended up being in the one room. And when we went in, one of the younger women in the group got up and just started making the tea. And the old woman got up and she got her bags out. She took out a load of homemade soda cakes that she was after bringing down for the people in the visiting room. And she cut them all up, and she gave them to all of us. And I can tell you, it wasn't only to the men that were in the prison. It was many an officer showed up, came out of the woodwork very quickly, and ate the soda bread as well. But it was just it was our home away from home. Well, anyway, Mead Travellers Workshops, we had a discussion, and I think, in fairness to the management and staff of Mead Travellers Workshop, we got great encouragement about what we could do for the men and women that were part of the prison service. And we approached Wheatfield Prison. And I can honestly say here today in front of you that we have never met a more enthusiastic group of people from the management and staff of Wheatfield Prison, that I've never met them, that were so open to change in my entire life. One of the men I met initially was Patrick Kavanagh, who was totally welcoming to us, who embraced every idea we had and encouraged his staff. We met ISM Kerry, we met Pat Murphy, we met Sister Imelda, Robbie, Jane, all of those people who were really and truly had the interest of the men at heart. And we worked as part of a team. And by that being part of a team, because you cannot do this work in isolation. It doesn't work if you do it in isolation. It has to be part of a team. We set up the group, and we're now in our 4th year. And I can honestly say it's been a huge learning experience to me, as it has to we've seen success stories. We haven't always been a success. We've gone in there some days, we might have 7 or 8 men in the group, and 5 of them might rather be asleep. But there've been days when we'd have to nearly sit on the floor. There'd be that many of the men waiting to get in. So you have to keep going. You have to, and it should be run in every single prison. We've met young men, Gosling's younger than my grandsons, to men in a pension age. And they've all told us, the majority of those men are so open, and the women have been into Stoke Centre also, are so open to what they can do. They've availed on our encouragement and on the encouragement of Wheatfield, the staff and management of Wheatfield. They've availed of the education services. They did training programmes. They're coming to us every week. They're doing any idea that we have suggested has been met with open arms, both from the inmates and from the authorities and staff within Wheatfield. And I know I only have a couple of minutes to speak, but I just want to refer to one phrase that I've heard since the very first week we've gone in. I've heard men use the phrase, they can lock the locks, but they can't stop the clocks. And I didn't really understand what it meant till it was explained to me one day anyway. But I honestly would stress the urgency. The clock is still ticking for everybody of us, and every one of us in this room here today. We can and we have the ability to bring about very, very positive change. We have the ability in this room to bring about changes for a huge amount of families, to remember the broken-hearted families that are at home and that have to live with loneliness and heartache for many, many years. For the men inside, they have to live with the guilt and the effects that why they're there has done to their families. And I would encourage you, please, to keep going, to see the positive side, and I would encourage the IPS, and I'd like to acknowledge the Irish Prison Service and the St. Stephen's Green Trust has been done. I know it's been done many times today, but I would like to acknowledge their support of us and to express my gratitude to everybody, but particularly Wheatfield, take a bow. Or a million